So this is going to include some mountains, a bit of a landscape scene. So I'm going to have trees and a bit of land and see what sort of develops. Like I said, I do have a bit of an idea, but let's see how we get on. So first of all, I'm using my tray as usual, and I'm just gonna pop in a little bit of the yellow ochre, and this is the bottom of the sky, just adding a little bit of warmth in there. So it's a very light mix, and you can see it is contaminated, it's not straight yellow ochre. Just pop in a little bit more, let's get some of that. So this is gonna be the backdrop for the mountains. I'm thinking I'm gonna go for a little bit of snow on the sort of the highest mountain. So just adding a bit of clean water now to this bit of French ultramarine as well, and a little bit of Payne's grey. Let's get the nice sky going on. So just having that mix into the yellow as well, create a nice, and then a little bit more Payne's grey as I touch this area. So I'm going to use plenty of water. I haven't pre-wet the paper, which sometimes I often do, but just adding these little bits of detail in the sky. So I'm going to go with a bit more. I'm going to take this a little bit further down, just using a bit more water now. So I want this to be considerably lighter than the top of the sky, if you can see that. And I think I'm gonna have my mountain about here. So let me just take a little bit of that pigment out. Like I said, it is gonna have some snow on there, so I'm mindful of that. I want it to be as clean as possible. So I'm just using the brush with a little bit of water, squeezing that out. Oh, I've got to watch this easel because it does tip. And then just bringing that down. Okay, so I'm quite happy with that. It looks quite nice. By the way, this is Fabriano Artistico paper, and I'm using the rough as well today. This is a £140 rough Fabriano paper. So let me just pull that a little bit. So it's very light, and that's what I want. I am going to layer in some of the mountains as I progress through this, so we'll see how we get on. I'm going to mix a bit more blue and a tiny bit of the Payne's grey. So I want a little bit of mountains going on here. So with all that looks quite nice. So I want plenty of sort of different tones going in this, and I will have a few layers as well, so that'll be quite nice. So I'm going to add a bit more darker tone to this mix now, so a little bit more Payne's grey, and this would be better if I left the paint to dry, but it is what it is. That's the nature of going live. Oftentimes you You can't wait around for these things to dry, and so I'm just hitting it while it's still wet. So if you stick with me, if you keep watching, you will see these things sort of develop, and it will make more sense as I get more sort of layers in this scene. I think just need to, there's a bit of a white patch, clean white patch, which I'm not happy with. I can leave little bits of white in the sky. That's not to worry about. So yeah, I'm gonna, obviously it's still wet, so I'm just wary of that. Oh, thanks for the like. Whoever hit the like, I do appreciate that. Let me know if you can hear me. I do have a new mic. It's another DJI mic mini, but this one doesn't have, the first one I got has got a little sort of graphic on the front, and it sort of moves to the noise so you know that it's on. This one doesn't, so hopefully you can hear me. If you just let me know in the comment section if the volume level's good, if you can hear me. That would be really nice to know. So I think I might pop in that little mountain now, just a little bit of colour, not much. So I want, okay, so just again squeeze out the excess water and just, I'm thinking of the shape of the mountain. Hopefully you can see that. Yep. And yeah, quite nice. I think I'm going to go a little bit darker just because I'm going to add some snow on this, so I want a bit of a contrast, and you'll be able to see that once I pop in the area with snow. So let's just, okay, that's perfect. And then a little bit maybe over here. So let me rinse out again and just soften off the edge. This is just a little bit, this one, and you'll have a little bit of snow on that one as well. Now, there's a couple of ways in which you can do snow. Obviously, you got the white of the paper. You could leave some areas unpainted for the snow. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to try this Chinese white, and I'm just going to pop some in. In fact, I think I do need a bit more. You know what, I'm just going to leave that. I don't know if this is going to work, but if I just pop a little bit, I'm going to pop it on my finger and just pull that down. I can add some more sort of, once that's dried, I think I'll return with that. Just get that white off my little finger. If you're watching this live, could you please don't forget to hit the like, pop on, say hello, let me know where you're from and what sort of things you like to paint. I try and do these videos so that they're sort of beginner friendly, and just to help those of you who are new to watercolor. I'm just gonna, these are this is a large mop brush that I'm using now. I'm just coming down. So I've got the mountains in. I've got a little bit of shape here and there. And that's really all I've got in my head at the moment. So let's see how this develops. I do like to paint these spontaneous sort of landscapes. So I've got what I had in mind on the paper. The rest is sort of guesswork. So hopefully you stick around and see what develops. Like I said, I don't know really what I'm doing now. Maybe this could be a little river running through the center of the scene. That'd be quite nice, I think. It could be maybe a winter scene. Let's see. I'm not sure at the moment. Let's just keep going and see what happens. See where the watercolor wants me to take it. And that's what I like to do. I'm open for changing things up, adding things as I see what may look good, and that sort of thing. That's what I like to do with a lot of my paintings. Thank you for the like. Hopefully enjoy this one. Hopefully I give you some ideas of what to paint. As I'm doing that, I'm trying to think of what to paint myself, but just going to add a little bit, pop in a little bit of colour here and there. This is just a little bit of brown, burnt umber and Payne's grey. So I'm going to add a little bit of a dark area along the bottom. And while this is still wet, so you got this nice bit of blending going on as well. So just going to get the edge of this land. And there we go. So I am going to add some trees. Just want things to dry just a little bit as I start adding things to it. And I think I just need to take off some of that white. I'll return once it's fully dry and see about doing that. So I want something quite nice once it's dry. Let's see. Let me move the camera just forward a little bit. Hopefully you can see a little bit better. So I don't know what's happened here. You get these things happen on the paper. Bits of paint may splash and you might get sort of dots, but if it's in the sky, you can always add a few birds, cover that with a few birds. But yeah. Okay, so I'm going with another slightly smaller mop brush, and I want a little bit, a few mountains in front of these, and you can see how faded they are, how pale they are. And that's something that I want, so it's creating this distance. This is Payne's grey, bit of French ultramarine, and I'm mixing a little bit of green in there, sap green as well. So I've got this really muted sort of colour. It's almost grey with a little bit of green in this. So I'm gonna, and when you're painting mountains, it's really the outside edge that matters the most. Doesn't really matter what happens on the bottom edge, because the top part of the mountain is really what counts. You want that nice strong line. If it's not too distant, that is. So just add in that. And I want a little bit of mist coming along in this part of the mountain. So you can see just add in a clean brush, a bit of water, and then squeeze out the excess water. And you get that sort of hazy, not a solid part of the mountain, but as we come down, there's a little bit of mist in there. So that's what I wanted for there. And then I think I'm gonna bit more green to that mix, just to give a little bit of variety, and then a little bit of a ledge, so a mountain coming down here. Yeah, so you can see how simple really so far. I've not taken a lot of time. It's just going in and exploring different colours and adding these things, a little bit of mist there as well. Okay, so we can bring some of that colour onto this bit of land. And what I can do also is squeeze my brush out, clean my brush, squeeze it out, and just add a little bit of a highlight in those two little peaks. So this, I need to put something on this water. It's too white. And so you just got to look at the sky area and sort of reflect what's going on up here into this. So a little bit, that's probably too, maybe a little bit too dark. And I want some of that white. So with the rough paper, you got this texture. And so when you go in with, when your paint runs out on the brush, you got this nice dry brush effect, which is really nice. And that's one of the things that I do like about using this rough paper. You get all these textures and things going on in that. So I'm just gonna a little bit. There we go. I think that might do. Let's see, thank you for the like. So we've got a couple of ridges now, a couple of layers of mountains, and I'm gonna just see if I can take off a little bit of that. I've got a bit of texture on there that I want to sort of remove. But yeah, I think that's looking okay at the moment. I'm just wondering what to do in these land areas. Thinking that's where I could put a few trees. What do you think? Let me know in the comments what you think. This might remind you of wherever you're from. If you have mountains, that sort of thing, let me know. Pop a comment in the comment section and let me know. And do you like to paint mountains as well? I'd love to know your thoughts. So just gonna add a little bit of shadow side on this mountain, and then with a bit of clean water and dry out my brush, blend that, just pull that down to one side, just thinking of the shape of the mountain. So I'm following the contours of the mountain as I do this. So there we go. You can use your finger as well. It's always a good tool to use. And a little bit more water, squeeze that out and just soften this. So it just gives a little impression of separation from this mountain hopefully that looks okay. And I think I'm gonna use my egg brush now. So this is a larger brush. I want just a bit of stuff going on the bottom of the land area. So I'm not really bothered about colour. I'm just popping in all sorts going on here. Green, blue, brown, grey, and just pop in just a few darks. Not too many, I'm just breaking up this little bit of an area of land. I can see that quite nice. Now I'm thinking whether to add a few rocks, which I'm a fan of doing. Let's see if I can find my scraper. If you've not seen the rock scraping technique, then quite handy to do in your watercolor landscape. So I think this is okay. It's good enough to scrape now. You do have to time this right, so if it's too wet, you're not going to get much going on. It'll just pool. The area that you scrape will just pool up and fill back in. So there we go. Just a few rocks, suggestions of rocks, and nice big old rock there. Okay, so can you see what's happened there just with the scraper? This is the card that I use. It's just a old credit card that I've just broken up into smaller pieces. So I've got a little section of that, and I like to use the rounded corner for scraping. So it doesn't sort of scratch the paper or ruin the paper, and it gives a nice mark, a highlight. So okay, I'm gonna grab my rigger brush now and just add a little bit of suggested weeds or something, grasses or weeds. So popping up in the river as well. And this is just a nice way to break up those areas and give a little interest as well. So let's just pop in a few of those in the water or on the edge of the land. There you go. Can you see that? Quite effective, quite nice. And we'll be let's add a tree. So I'm just trying to get this one. I know that I said don't plan things too much, but I want to be, what's the word? I can't think of the word, but I want to be meaningful in this tree. And I want it sort of bent over. Okay. So I think I'm happy with that tree. Just gonna scruff it up a little bit with the rigger brush. And so there we go. It's sort of a dying tree. It's in this harsh landscape, so it's not surviving too well, and it's all sort of wilting away, and yeah, so it's quite a harsh scene. Let me see if I can pull a little bit more of that paint. I think if I'm going to try that again now that the paint's a bit more dry, just grabbing a little bit of the Chinese white paint. I think I could probably use a better white. I think maybe titanium white might be a little better for this. But anyway, that's all I've got. So just add in that. So let me get that white off my finger, or get it on my clothes or whatever. So I think I need to add a bit more to this. I want to separate this second sort of layer. Oh, this is the first layer. Yeah, that'll be the second layer. And then on, so I just need to darken and define some of that second layer. So I'm just gonna bob in a little bit of colour, a little bit of tone, really. Not bothered about the colour, to be honest. Just more about the tone. There we go, and we can just pull that across. There we go, that's quite nice, and I'll do the same on this side. A bit more water, let's get that. Don't worry if your tree sort of disappears, if you disturb that paint. I can go in and do that again. I've got a few sort of details left, so what I'll do, I'll hit that again once it dries off a little bit more. So let me pull you in and let's have a look at the scene so far. Hopefully you like this one. Hopefully it gives you a little bit of inspiration, something to paint, something a little bit different perhaps. Now what I want to do now is I'm going to add a few details to the bottom side where the rocks are, so that this is going to help with the rocks to pop, give it that sort of 3D look, and can go really quite dark with this now, just to give a nice contrast as well in the scene. It's oftentimes when you add these darks, that's when the painting sort of comes alive. And so let's see if we can bring this one to life with these details. I really enjoy doing the darks on paint, on these watercolor paintings. It really does make a difference. I know a while ago it was something that I just kind of stopped painting and left the sort of final darks, which would complete the painting, just give that extra life. And I always stopped before that stage for some reason. I don't know, maybe it was fear of ruining the painting. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's something that just I was still learning, perhaps. Even though I've been painting for a long time, I think we're still learning. Still learning different techniques, different ways of doing things. There are many different many different ways to get the end result that you want. I know a lot of people say you must do this, you must do that. This is, well, if you find a way that works and works for you, then go for it. There's the sort of basic things that you can follow. But I do like to break the rules sometimes and, you know, go out with the traditional way of doing things. You know, sometimes it might work, sometimes it doesn't. And that's all about, that's, you know, how we learn from trial and error. So if it doesn't work, we don't do it again. And if it does, then we've found a different technique, something else that we can try in our paintings. And it's really all about having fun, you know, it's not, we don't have to be serious, we can be. If it's something we want to do for a living, then yeah. But if it's more of a hobby, some sort of pastime, then just enjoy the different things that we learn, enjoy other people's approaches. You can try different people do different things. You can try what they do, and if it works, then brilliant. If it doesn't, then you know you can always try your own way as well. I mean, there's all different techniques. So many different things you can do in watercolor. I love the way it's so versatile. So yeah, I do love painting oils as well, painting with oils. I've had a fair bit of experience with those. I just find them a little, they are a bit more messy than watercolor. I think you have to prepare a bit more. Watercolors, you can just sort of do them on the go. If you want to paint outdoors or travel with them, they're a bit more, they're just a bit more easier to travel with, and you know, you can do a painting and pop it in your bag once it's dried. It don't, obviously you don't have that long in the drying times like oils, so that's what makes them portable, and that's what people like about using watercolors as well. So I'm just going to go in and add a little bit of dark to this mountain, and I can fade it out or just add some water just to blend the edges. So you got hard edges and you got soft edges. I want this to be more soft. And I suppose on the outside edge, the top edge, that's where you want the hard edges. Unless it's something like the mist and it's, or if it's in the distance, that sort of thing, then you can have those soft edges as well. But yeah, that's the norm. Okay, that's still a little bit wet. I'm just going to wait for that little area to dry a little bit, and then I can add more to that, redo that tree, which is fine. And just a little bit of growth going on there in the corner. Oh, you can't see that. There we go. So hopefully you can see the whole thing now. One thing that I want to do again is I always wanted to climb Snowdon, which is the closest mountain to where I live, and I had the opportunity to go up Snowdon with my brother-in-law a few years ago, and it was quite funny because I was packed up with my camera. I thought I'm going to take some really nice pictures, and you know, there's endless supplies of paintings that I can do from the pictures that I'm going to take. It's going to be really nice. And as soon as we started climbing, you could see behind us there's a bit of a lake area, that sort of thing, and really nice views. But as soon as we got maybe half an hour into the climb, it just got ridiculously foggy, a lot of mist, and There is a building just as you get um, onto the mountain path, and it does say that it rains in this area something like 329 days a year, something like that. And so this was one of those days. It absolutely chucked it down. It takes about 4 or 5 hours, I think, to do the whole full walk. And it's not one of those mountains that goes up quite steep. It's more of a gradual incline for those miles. And so I did this climb and got absolutely soaked, and I couldn't take many pictures because obviously my camera's going to get wet. And so we got to the top, we made it, and I was thinking the whole time that maybe I can get some nice shots on the way back down. And we decided there is a train that goes up. There's a steam train. You just pay and sort of use that train to get up. And you can also get it coming down as well. But I was just thinking that maybe, okay, I couldn't get many pictures or any on the way up. Maybe I can get some on the way down. So we walked it down as well. And I didn't see a thing. The visibility was really, really bad. You could literally see maybe a meter or two in front of us. And that was the whole view that we had while doing Mount Snowdon. So very disappointing, and I do hope to do that climb again. I would love to see it and get all the pictures that I want. Do you live near mountains? Is it something you've done? Let me know in the comment section which mountains you've done. Did you have the same experience that I did? And it's not one of those things that I regret. I just think it was not a wasted opportunity because I did enjoy doing that. It was about the experience, but when you can't see the view, because I've seen it on TV since. I've seen programs on Snowdon, and it just looks amazing. The views look absolutely stunning, and I just never got to see them. So Snowdon, if you don't know, is North Wales. It's what they call those places. It's a national park, and so you do have a few peaks. There's a few different places you can walk. Obviously, some being more of a challenge. I think the one that I took, Clanberis, I think that's the easiest. It's probably further, so you go in further of a walk, but it's less steep. And I remember coming back down. There's a road that leads you, an actual road, and very steep. And as I got onto that, my knees were absolutely killing. I think I do have a touch of arthritis, and so I did feel that I had to turn around and do it backwards because my legs, my knees, sorry, they were absolutely in a lot of pain. Just that little bit. Didn't bother me the whole mountain walk or anything like that. But yeah, just that little bit on the road as you begin the climb. So this was at the very end. I felt a lot of pain. So yeah, hopefully I can do that again. I think it would be a really nice experience if we get the right sort of weather. So okay, so I'm looking at this now. Let me see. Still some paint on there that's not dried. Little globules of that. And maybe let me try a little bit more of that white, and I'm thinking that the titanium white is a bit thicker, a bit more opaque as well than this Chinese white. Maybe gouache might be a little bit better as well, but it is what it is. There we go. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. Let me get that white off my finger now. I think I'm happy with that. I'm going to leave that for now, the mountains with the snow. And maybe just for interest, maybe I'm going to add another slightly darker layer just behind, just behind this one. So you can see that popping up through that little area, just for interest more than anything. And just maybe pop that one up. There we go. So I think I can add, maybe this area is dry now, dry-ish. Hopefully it doesn't disturb the paint too much as I go in with this dark mix. I can see it's still a little bit wet. So I'm just being careful with this. Now, trees are something that I've always find a little bit of a challenge, a bit. And so I want these limbs to hopefully look okay. And just a little bit of detail here and there. Maybe just a little bit of something going on this side as well. Maybe a little bit of a tree, sort of bit of grassy weeds, that sort of thing, just growing along the edge. I think I need to straighten up a few areas, just adding a little bit of darker tone. And maybe a little bit in here as well. I don't want it too dark because this is a bit more distant than the one in front. Let me just pop in some. There we go. Okay, I think I'm done with this one. Hi Noble, looking great so far. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry, it's you know, sometimes it's hard to see the comments, but thank you for the comment. I do appreciate that. I think I'm about finished with this one. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Let me take the tape away, and that's one of the things that I like to do as well when I'm painting. Just have this tape removal and that gives you more of an idea of how things have gone. It makes it look more complete, and if it's something that you want to frame, you want hanging on the wall, then this is a nice indication of how this painting is going to look, your painting. And this gives a nice clean edge, clean border. And so it is nice to go into the corners with a bit more darker pigment. And yeah, I think it's worked out quite nice. I think I'm happy with this one. Let me know what you think in the comment section. I do appreciate that. I think I've just seen one thing that I need to change, and that's just this little area here. Don't know what's going on there. Just add that. Okay. So yeah, there we go. It looked like the water was sort of going above the land, which wasn't correct. It wasn't looking good. But that's it. Let me just take the camera off. There we go. So hopefully you can see that. Quite a nice little painting. I do like painting these mountains. I don't know whether I've got the snow on the mountains quite right. I think the wrong paint. But I think overall it's quite a nice painting. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.